vapor compression refrigeration cycle and system. And in this topic itself, we will be talking about the fundamentals of thermodynamics, because the subject of refrigeration and air conditioning is actually an application of various fundamentals of thermodynamics, fluid mechanics, and thermal science in general. Refrigeration is an indispensable, very important part of our modern life now. And what you see around you, certain examples like domestic refrigerator, everybody has seen for many years. It has been a very important part of the house and the kitchen. Then the room air conditioner, which is also becoming very common now, right? You have like earlier you had window AC. Now you more commonly see a split AC, right? Whether it is your house or it is an ATM or it's a commercial establishment, a bank, etc., or a restaurant. So air conditioner is a very common thing that you see around you. And then deep freezer, ice cream deep freezer. Then when you go in supermarkets, the display cabinets also, most of the time, like for many products, you need a refrigerated display cabinet. Okay, so these are some of the few examples that you see around you. And the applications, of course, are not limited to this, neither the refrigeration nor air conditioning. There are many other applications in industry also. One of the applications of air conditioner is it's for comfort air conditioning, right? Making the ambient around you comfortable. So particularly in summer, you use the air conditioners. And refrigeration, some additional applications like certain perishable products like milk, vegetables, processed foods, etc., can be stored and kept fresh over a long period of time. Okay, if you talk about the domestic refrigerator, and otherwise also in commercial applications also. And and nowadays you also must be hearing about the vaccine, COVID-19 vaccine and its storage, etc. Right, so there also refrigeration plays a very important role. So it will be useful if we can produce and maintain certain space below the ambient temperature. When you use the word refrigeration, refrigeration is not equivalent to cooling. You should understand the difference between the two. So the basis of that in thermodynamic as it is defined need to be understood to give a precise definition of refrigeration. Refrigeration is not equivalent to cooling, because here you are maintaining some space below ambient. You are like taking down the temperature of some space, and you are also maintaining it above the ambient temperature. Only if you do this, you are producing refrigeration. So this need gave birth to the technology of refrigeration and air conditioning. And once this technology was available, lots of other applications were also found and developed. So here we will study an important way and the most dominant technology of producing low temperature, and that is vapor compression refrigeration cycle and the system. So again, this table provides you some applications of refrigeration, like domestic application. So keeping food fresh for a longer period of time. Commercial refrigeration, holding and displaying frozen and fresh food in retail outlets. Then food processing and cold storage. Food processing industry and cold storage is, you are also familiar with cold storages. So in this subject, we would also like to arrange certain like field visit if it may not be possible to do it like in field, but it can be done probably online. So cold storage so here you have the equipment to preserve, process and store food from its source where it is produced to the wholesale distribution point, right? So you are familiar that various products are stored in cold storages. Okay, so like they can be provided when off season, then when they are not produced also, or in transit. You don't want their quality to be deteriorated, so you store them in cold storage. Industrial refrigeration, generally we talk about large systems in that case. In chemical processing, cold storage, food processing, district heating. So very large capacity heating and cooling systems. They are called district heating and district cooling. District heating is not common. District cooling is also not as common in India, but now it is slowly picking up. Right, the Gift City in at Gandhinagar has district cooling system. Then transport refrigeration. So you are familiar with the milk and milk products being transported in refrigerated vans, etc. Right, so refrigerated trucks, vans, etc. So these are some of the applications of refrigeration and air conditioning, and here certain refrigerants are mentioned. They are certain numbers and some alphabets attached to that. We don't need to worry about that as of now. We will have separate discussion on the topic of refrigerants. But you are familiar with the word CFC, chlorofluorocarbon, but it is an outdated thing now. Nowadays, you have more commonly what you have is HFC, that is hydrofluorocarbon, right? Or it can be even just hydrocarbon, and some other natural refrigerants are coming up, or their use is being promoted or being or increasing more and more. Okay, so let us review very basic thing of thermodynamics, the basis of refrigeration system in thermodynamics. So the concept of heat pump and refrigerator. So a heat pump, the word pump, so you're pumping something, right? So if it is a water pump, you're pumping water from a lower elevation to higher elevation, or from lower pressure to higher pressure. Now here you're talking about a heat pump. So what is a heat pump? It's a system. It's a system. It works on a cycle. It extracts heat from a low temperature body and delivers heat to high temperature body, right? So spontaneously, what should happen is that if you bring, let's say, a low temperature body and a high temperature body in contact with each other, then the heat would flow from high temperature body to low temperature body. But here you want to do the opposite of that, right? So in that case, it will not happen naturally. It will not happen spontaneously, right? As per the second law of thermodynamics. So you need to build a cycle or a system for that, and there will be some work which we need to be provided to this. Only then you can take heat from a low temperature body and reject it or deliver it to a high temperature body, right? So it consumes net work in this cycle. The Clausius statement: when the objective is to remove heat from a low temperature body, the system is called refrigerator. So in a way, you can say heat pump is a general word. And when you want to remove heat from low temperature body, your focus is on removing heat from low temperature body, right? For example, if you're talking about air conditioning, then what you are doing is think about the summer, the outside temperature is 40 degrees Celsius and you want to maintain 25 degrees Celsius in your room. So your room is slowly brought to 25 and it is maintained at 25. So what is done is the room air, the heat is removed from room air and it is rejected or supplied into the atmosphere, which is at a higher temperature. temperature, right? So in that application, your objective is to remove heat from low temperature body. So in that case, it is called a refrigerator, right? So in a way, as I told, air conditioning is an application of refrigeration, right? Um, and when the objective is to supply heat to high temperature body, the system is called a heat pump. If you are familiar, there are certain models of air conditioners which can also work as heat pump. So if you are in some location where the winter temperatures are very low for longer period of time, right? What happens in our region is that the the spells of low temperature days or hours is very short. So normally we don't invest into such systems. But where the summers are also long and harsh, as well as the winter is also long and harsh at that time, a system uh, may be good if it can supply heat to your room in when it is winter, and it can provide cooling into the room if it is summer, right? So some companies, there are certain models which can work as air conditioner as well as heat pump. Okay, so if your focus is on supplying heat to the high temperature body, let's say you are talking about heating of room in winter. So let's say outside temperature is 0 degrees Celsius and you want to maintain 20 degrees Celsius in your room. So your room, which is at a higher temperature, you are supplying heat into that room so that it can maintain that temperature. And outside is at a lower temperature. So you are taking heat from low temperature body and supplying it to high temperature body, which is the room. And here your focus is on supplying heat to this high temperature body, that is your room, right? So here you will call it a heat pump. The system, you will call this system a heat pump. Thus, the domestic refrigerator, an air conditioner, a deep freezer, refrigerated display cabinets, they are all refrigerators. An air conditioner used to deliver heat to room by taking heat energy from ambient is a heat pump. And there are many other industrial applications of refrigerators and heat pumps also, right? So heat pumps, like there is a need for heat or heating in many industrial applications also. So there also it might be useful. Okay. But of course, there is a limit to which the temperature limit is there. It cannot provide you very high temperatures, but somewhere up to 60 degrees Celsius or something may be possible with the heat pumps also. Okay, so this, you cannot explain a concept in engineering or in sciences without a good diagram. So a good diagram to explain a refrigerator or the concept of refrigerator or a heat pump would be like this. Okay. So as you can see on the left hand side, the refrigerator, the refrigeration system. So this R is a refrigeration system. You can even improve this diagram by drawing drawing arrows. Some of the book provide show you that it works in a cycle. So you can put one arrow here, anti-clockwise direction, another arrow anti-clockwise direction, to show that it's a system working on a cycle. And then you can put it into a box showing it as a system and show the cycle, circle with arrows in that. And this is a system which, like if you draw it on the thermodynamic chart, then the cycle would run in anti-clockwise direction. So you can draw arrows in such a way while drawing this diagram. So what this does, the refrigerator, you have a cold refrigerated space, and you are taking out heat from that, which is the desired output, right? So this QL, okay, here we are using the word, like in thermodynamics, you used to use the word source and sink. But it would not be advisable to use the word source and sink here. It might create some confusions. So normally we'll use the word low temperature body and high temperature body. Okay, and this is low temperature body from where you are taking out heat, which is the desired output. You are interested in this quantity, right? Your goal is to get this QL. It should be as per your requirement, right? And most of the times, like in thermodynamics, you many times talk about joules or kilojoule. But in practical applications, like the way it happened in case of heat and mass transfer, you are interested in the quantity per unit time, right? So not just kilojoule or joule, but kilojoule per second or joule per second. So you are interested in what rate is the heat being removed, right? So how many watts or how many kilowatts of heat is being removed from this cold refrigerated space. And this is, you are taking it out, but then you have to reject it somewhere, right? You have to throw it out somewhere, right? Rejection or throwing out is, I'm a bit hesitating to use these words, but that's what is being done. But one can find some application of this also, heat also, right? In that case, it will not be rejection or throwing out, right? So one can try that. So this is, uh, you want to take it out from this body and it has to be thrown out somewhere, and this can happen only if you provide some work for this, right? So required input, work input is required, right, as per the Clausius statement. And as you can see, a good diagram and an ordinary diagram, what is the difference? You can see that they have shown this arrow thicker than this arrow. Why is it done? Why is it done like that? Because the heat rejected would be more than the heat that is taken here, right? The first law of thermodynamics, it's working in a cycle. So cyclic integral of Q would be equal to cyclic integral of W, right? So this plus this QL plus W would be equal to QH. Okay, so that's why this arrow is shown thicker, and this is the warm environment, that is the environment temperature is higher than the temperature of this cold space. So it can be a domestic refrigerator, it can be cold storage, it can be an air conditioned room, and you are interested in this QL. But you have to supply energy in the form of work, and so this is added, and what you reject is more than what you take out from here, right? And you can apply the first law of thermodynamics to this. Now when you are talking about a heat pump, your interest is, this is talking about warming of a house or a room in winter. So the environment is cold and you are taking heat from that, and again you need work, and you finally reject heat, or rather here it is not rejection, it is useful heat. So QH is the desired output. So this is at a higher temperature and this is at a lower temperature, right? So here our assumption is that this QH and QL is a constant single temperature, right? There is no fluctuation or there is no change when this process occurs. And even here it is the same thing. So this is the concept of the heat pump and refrigerator, which is actually covered in thermodynamics, and it has been revised. Now, as an engineer, you are, in addition to other things, you are interested in the energy performance. Why are you interested in the energy performance? Because some work is being used, and work is a higher grade of energy, and you have to pay for it, right? You have to pay for it, so you are concerned about that. Uh, so there is some cost attached to it, right? We talk about monetary cost, but nowadays, like we have also started thinking about the environmental costs, etc. That's a separate thing. But there is energy being consumed, and energy is not available freely. Right. Actually, nothing is available freely from nature. Every endeavor of human being has some cost. But like from point of view of economy, also you are interested in this part that you are consuming some energy here, and that is a high grade of energy again. Like in vapor compression refrigeration system, at least it's a high grade of energy, mechanical energy or electrical energy being utilized here. So you are interested in energy performance. That is, I am spending certain units of energy here, certain kilojoules of energy, or I'm at some rate I'm consuming the energy or consuming work. And for that, how much cooling am I getting? Right. So now, in a way, this is efficiency only, but the grade of energy is different. The grade, this is low grade and this is high grade. And that's why we are not using the word efficiency, because it will be misleading, because here you can get some number higher than 1. So we are using the word COP, coefficient of performance. So what is coefficient of performance? What are you interested in? What is the desired output? So desired output in case of a refrigerator is QC. Desired output in case of a refrigerator is QC, okay, or QL, right? In this diagram, it is written as QL, and here I have written it as QC. I can probably modify it to QL so that you can relate it with this diagram. And WNet, the network that is being consumed. Okay, so that's the energy performance of refrigerator. Now, in case of the heat pump, you are interested in the heat being supplied to the warm body. So that is QH upon WNet. As per the this system, both this system work on a cycle. So cyclic integral of Q is equal to cyclic integral of W. So here there are only two heat interactions and uh, only work interaction, or it is network, right? So in that case, you can write QH minus QC is equal to WNet, or QH is equal to WNet plus QL, right? Thus, the heat rejected to high temperature body is more than the heat taken from low temperature body. If a heat pump and refrigerator work between same temperature limits, we can write that COP of heat pump is equal to 1 plus COP of refrigerator. You can very easily show that, but very important understanding here is that this will be the case only if your high temperature and low temperature are same in a give for a given heat pump or and a given refrigerator, right? So if you are using the same system, let's say at some point of time, like the cooling produce is of interest to you. At some point of time, the heating produce is of interest to you, and you are also not changing the temperatures, high temperature and low temperature. Only in that case, you can state that as a heat pump, it will give me COP 1 more than the COP of refrigerator, 1 plus COP of refrigerator. That is what you get if your TH and TL are same. Okay, so in general, you should not give a statement that COP of heat pump is more 1 plus COP of refrigerator, right? Only if your TH and TL are same, then this statement is correct. Okay, and actually, as it will be shown, the COP of a refrigerator or a heat pump depends upon the low temperature and the high temperature. It can be very easily shown. It will be shown with the help of the Carnot refrigeration cycle, but it is also true for all refrigeration and air conditioning systems. Okay, so it may be useful to discuss about the temperature limits, right? How will you decide the temperature limit, the high temperature and low temperature? What dictates the choice of temperatures for refrigerator or a heat pump? In case of a refrigerator, the heat has to be generally rejected to the ambient. So theoretically, the highest temperature in the cycle is the ambient temperature, right? Theoretically, the as it is shown in this diagram, right? The warm environment. So high temperature is nothing but the environmental temperature. If your system is rejecting heat to the atmosphere, right? So that will dictate you. In this case, you can't decide it, right? It depends upon the geographical location, right? So that decides the high temperature. And what about the low temperature? Low temperature is decided based on the application, right? It is based on the application. If it is air conditioning, it will be a bit higher. If it is refrigeration, it will be lower. If it is a deep freezer, it will be even lower. Okay. So based on the application, the low temperature would be decided. So low temperature limit is dictated by the application. In case of air conditioning, it can be around 7 degrees Celsius, while in case of a refrigerator, it can be minus 10 degree Celsius. Okay. So I hope that the thermodynamics basis of this is clear. The concept of heat pump and the concept of refrigerator is well, like revised, and that is clear in your mind, right? To be able to go further now. Yes. So now the concept of Carnot cycle, it's actually not a new thing. It's already known to you. You learn it in thermodynamics and in other like thermal engineering subjects also. Normally, we start the discussion about different cycles like after talking about the Carnot cycle, because it's an ideal cycle and it is an internally reversible as well as it can be made externally reversible cycle, right? So it's an ideal cycle if you can implement that between two given temperature limits, it will give you the highest efficiency. If you are talking about the Carnot cycle and the heat engine working on that, right? So what are the different processes in that case? The Carnot cycle, there is if we start with this isothermal expansion, right? So that is isothermal expansion. So it is shown here. Okay, or let us start with this isothermal compression. So as it is shown here, right? The TC is constant and it is taking out heat from your system, this piston cylinder system. So it's isothermal compression, which is shown here. Then the next thing is adiabatic compression, right? So there is no heat exchange, but the compression is continued. Now here I would like to tell you that this is drawn on PV diagram, and as you can see that pressure is increasing, and when you say compression, pressure is increasing and volume or specific volume is decreasing. But it will be more prudent to understand compression as reduction in specific volume rather than increase in pressure, as you will see later. Then here isothermal expansion, right? So the heat is being supplied and expansion is occurring. right? So that is isothermal expansion which is occurring, and then adiabatic expansion, right? So this one is adiabatic expansion. There is no heat exchange between system and the surroundings. So this is the Carnot cycle. We can reverse this cycle and make it a refrigeration cycle. So the reversed Carnot cycle will work as a refrigeration cycle. So that is shown in this diagram. Of course, the arrows are not shown. No, this is also this is working in clockwise. 1, 2, 3, 4 is written in clockwise direction. So in that case, it will be the power producing cycle only. The direction has to be made opposite, right? Sorry. Yeah. So this is like it is opposite only. So this is moving in anti-clockwise direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So what are the different processes? And it is shown on PV diagram as well as on TS diagram. So isentropic compression, 1, 2 is isentropic compression. You can put an arrow here. Then also here 1, 2 isentropic. So when you are putting it on TS diagram, isentropic means entropy remains constant. It is reversible adiabatic. So you call it isentropic, entropy remains constant. In the previous diagram, it was just written adiabatic, but whenever you draw the cycle, actually it is understood that it is internally reversible. Only then you can draw the process as a full line. So even that is isentropic, and this one is also isentropic. So 1, 2 is isentropic compression. 2, 3 is isothermal compression, right? Isothermal compression. So you can see here 2, 3 that specific volume is decreasing and pressure is increasing. And here you can see that temperature is remaining constant, but the entropy is decreasing. So here actually there is heat rejection occurring, and because of that this is happening. So one can also show the direction of heat flow as well as the direction of workflow along with this diagram. Then that will be a value addition to this type of diagram. Then 3, 4 is isentropic expansion, right? The isentropic expansion, the specific volume increasing and pressure decreasing, and here it is isentropic. So the entropy remaining constant, temperature going down, and then isothermal expansion, temperature remaining constant, entropy increasing. So heat is being taken by the system here, right? Here the heat is being rejected. 2, 3 process, and 4, 1 the heat is being accepted by the system. That is isothermal expansion. So 4, 1 you can see that the pressure has decreased and specific volume has increased. So the Carnot cycle, if you reverse the direction, make it anti-clockwise, it can work as a refrigeration cycle. How can it work as a refrigeration cycle? Which is the process where cooling is happening. It is 4, 1. 4, 1 is at a lower temperature, and still the system is absorbing heat, right? System is absorbing heat, though it's a low temperature process. So this is nothing but refrigeration occurring. But then to complete the cycle, you have to follow other processes. This 1, 2 is isentropic compression. You take it to higher temperature level, you reject the heat here. Here you supply the work. Here you may be able to produce work in process 3, 4 and bring it back to low temperature and low pressure. And again, you absorb heat from here. So if you can implement this cycle, it will give you the highest COP between the two given temperature limits. This phrase is important, between two given temperature limits. So this temperature here, the heat is absorbed, here the heat is rejected, but both of them, both of these processes are occurring at constant temperature. So it can be made, it is internally reversible and can be made externally reversible also. The source can be at the, this is an ideal thing as per the thermodynamics. So here where you are rejecting, that body can be at the same temperature and you reject heat to that, right? And here you absorb heat and even that body is at the same temperature. the lower temperature. So between these two temperature limits, the reverse Carnot cycle or Carnot refrigeration cycle would give you the highest COP. Okay. And that's why we are discussing this, but then we will talk about the practical difficulties in implementing this cycle and why we are not able to stick to this and we have to move to a more practicable cycle, that is vapor compression refrigeration cycle. And you can get the COP of this cycle, reverse Carnot cycle or Carnot refrigeration cycle. So here, if you are talking about refrigeration, then this is QL, right? QL upon W net, right? The heat which is accepted by the system at low temperature, QL, and W net, the network that is supplied to the system. This is the power consuming cycle moving in anti-clockwise direction on the thermodynamic chart. And this W net, as per the first law, it is QH minus QL. Right? Now, like when I write small q, it is generally specific quantity, that is kilojoule per kg or joule per kg. Even for work, the same thing. And when we write capital letters, it is normally like joule or kilojoule, not a specific quantity, right? And when we write, yeah, and when we talk about the rates, normally we put dot over that symbol, right? So that is the time rate of that quantity. But many times, like we write this in for a cycle, it may be written in kilojoules. So that way, I have not put a dot here. Okay. So QL upon QH minus QL, and from this diagram, you can very easily write this. QL is nothing but the area below 4.1, that is TL into S1 minus S4, and again QH is nothing but area below process 2.3. So that is TH into S2 minus S3, and this S1 minus S4 and S2 minus S3 are the same quantity and will get cancelled. So the COP of reverse Carnot cycle would be TL upon TH minus TL. But mind well, these temperatures are to be written in Kelvin, right? So don't make that mistake. Though, like people feel that yes, we know it and there is no need to tell that, but I've seen many people making this kind of mistakes, right? So TL upon TH minus TL, so that should be written in Kelvin, and that ratio would give you the COP or reverse Carnot cycle. Now, the way you state that no heat engine can have efficiency higher than the Carnot engine, the similar thing can be stated for all refrigeration system, that no refrigeration system would give you COP higher than the COP provided by the reverse Carnot cycle. But again, between the two given temperature limits, right? Only if the other cycle is not exceeding these limits, going above it or going below it, only then you can compare it with the reverse Carnot cycle. And in that case, it will not give you COP higher than the reverse Carnot cycle COP. And that is the reason why one would like to implement the reverse Carnot cycle. But as I told, there are certain difficulties, like this cycle is just on paper, right? It is just on paper. And to implement this cycle, you have to build a system where these processes can be carried out, right? That hardware is required. The cycle and the equations, etc., all these things analysis are software, but you need a hardware where this can be performed. So there will be certain practical difficulties in implementing this system. So we'll discuss about that. But before that, what is the effect of evaporator temperature and condenser? Because you have the formula for the efficiency, or rather COP, of reverse Carnot cycle working as a refrigerator, then it is TL upon TH minus TL. If it is working as a heat pump, it will be TH upon TH minus TL, right? So working as a refrigerator, it will be this formula. So if you want to plot a chart of COP versus TL or COP versus TH, what you can do is you can take different values of let's say TH, right? So it may be the ambient temperature. So let's say ambient, you fix this temperature TL. Let's say it is 250 Kelvin, right? So minus 23, roughly minus 23 degrees Celsius is your refrigeration temperature. And ambient, let's say sometimes the ambient is at 25 at some other degree Celsius. At some other point of time, it is let's say 35. Other point of time, let's say it is 45. So what is the effect of ambient temperature on COP? So that you can get those numbers, and then maybe you fix this number TH, and for different refrigeration temperatures, like in air conditioners, you may take TL as let's say 5 degrees Celsius. So in that case, it is 270 plus 3 plus 5, so 278 roughly is the temperature that you can put here. Okay, and you change the ambient temperature and check what is the effect of that on the COP. So if you do that exercise, you will be able to plot a graph or chart like this. So this is here it is, this is TL. It's written TE, that is evaporator, but you can write it as TL, the low temperature, and here it is written TC, that is condenser temperature, but you can take it as TH, the higher temperature limit on the cycle. Okay. So what you find is that if your evaporator temperature, or rather the low temperature is higher, in that case, this will rise very rapidly. So COP will be higher if your low temperature limit is higher. So it's preferable that you you don't keep it unnecessarily low, right? Keep it as much as required only. If you keep it unnecessarily low, if your heat exchanger is not good, you may need like your refrigerator refrigerant may need to go to a lower temperature, higher delta T. In that case, you are losing COP, right? And similarly, if your higher temperature is higher, so this is higher than this one and then this one, right? So your COP will be high if your TH is low. If your TH is low. For an air conditioner, you can say if the air conditioner is working under a very extreme condition, let's say in Gulf, the temperature is like the condenser may work easily at 55 degrees Celsius temperature. So in that case, this will be high, so it will give you lower COP. And if you are working in not very harsh conditions, so let's say in the month of March, then your air conditioner will work more efficiently. So your COP will be high in that case, right? So this is the effect. Though this graph has been drawn with the formula for the reverse Carnot cycle, the trend is same for all refrigeration systems. And then there is a small numerical turn here, and you can read it. TR is 250, TO is 300 Kelvin. So around 27 degrees Celsius is the atmosphere, and you're talking about the ideal Carnot cycle where the ambient and the temperature, higher temperature is same, as well as the refrigeration and the low temperature in the system is the same. With these two values, you can get various parameters. Delta S is nothing but this it's Q upon R, sorry, Q upon T, because your T is remaining constant. So for like this delta S, you can get this 125 is given. That is the rate at which the cooling is, or it's not rate, but it's the quantity given. So refrigeration load is 125 kilojoule. Let's say in one process or cycle, the heat which is absorbed by the system is 125 kilojoule. So that divided by TR in Kelvin would give you the delta S value, and then you can get W, which is delta S upon TO minus TR. So you get W, and then you can get COP, which is 5. So if your temperature limits are 250 and 300, then COP is 5. So this reverse Carnot cycle gives you this much COP. No other cycle can give you this much COP if you are working between these two temperature limits, right? Okay, so this was some information about the reverse Carnot cycle for refrigeration. We'll talk about the practical difficulties in implementing this cycle in the next class.